and welcome to the Backcourt episode 6. SSN split round means we've been casting our eyes far and wide to find out the best things that have been happening around the netty trap. So a lot of weird stories ahead. My name is Hannah Kuha. Matt Fatia, how was your weekend?
My weekend, ups and downs, Hannah. Obviously, seeing family and friends is always great. Went to the MCG to watch the Hawks-Cats game. I know it's not netball, but it was great atmosphere. Unfortunately, our Hawks threw away a win there, but it's always good to spend some time with friends. The mini eggs are out at home. There's a big bowl of them in the kitchen, and I'm a sucker for a mini egg because you don't feel like you're eating a lot of chocolate, but when you've ate 15 to 20, that really comes to town on the hips and so on. But yeah, overall, Easter, it's one of those ones where, the long weekend, everyone loves it. But I personally know that your weekend has been a bit more action-packed than mine. So it might be time for everyone to gather around and just bit of Hannah story time.
Oh, gosh, I love that I've already been thrown under the bus and the podcast has been rolling for a good 10 seconds. Yeah. All right, well, between the Backcourt family.
Close friends,
and I need you to slide into the DMs with your own stories, backcourt_pod. I was set up by a netball teammate over the weekend.
Or a
romantic dalliance.
Right, a blind date.
A date, some may call them. So, bit of a stitch up, right? Because the girl who set me up, beautiful girl. We have travelled internationally for netball together. We've stayed in, tournament settings. So you get to know your teammates well. Also, I thought.
She's misread you.
I thought this girl knew me, but I'm starting to think that maybe you have some level of understanding of your teammates on court, but then off court, maybe it doesn't transition, or maybe I give off a certain vibe on court and it's crossed over to the off court. So I need your thoughts on this. But basically, this fella, he slides in my DMs. We have a chat. It's cool. He actually asks about the backcourt.
Right, he does.
Very interested in how it's going. And I said in this conversation, I said, there's a lot of meticulous preparation that goes into the pod, as
it does.
As our loyal family knows. And he thinks that's pretty funny and goes, I know something crazy. And I know exactly where this is going. I said, all right. He said, in your next episode, can you drop the word meticulous?
Well, you've done it.
Did I say we prepare with meticulous attention? Anyway, he says, can you put the word meticulous in it?
Yep.
If you don't, I'll take you out for dinner. And so I'm going to actually say to you that this happened a week earlier, so we don't have to get into awkward, how am I using the podcast to benefit my love life? But I thought, this boy, he's treating me like a fool. At this point, the goal was to have dinner with him. So I was like, obviously, I won't say it. And if you listen to episode 5, did not say it. So then I thought, cool, it's a win-win situation. We'll both have dinner together. No, I ended up suggesting that we go for a walk instead, and it was fine until maybe halfway through, and I was like, nah, this boy is just not it. He actually called me earlier in the week before the walk was organised, pretending to be actually, why am I telling you this?
No, you've committed now. You've committed.
He calls me on the phone because in the DMs I gave him my number and I got this random call when I was at the shops and he says, somebody says, hi, Hannah, it's such and such from Podcasts Australia. How are you going? I said,
real company, Podcasts Australia.
I don't know. I was flustered. I was at the shops. So I was like, going well, thanks. He said, we're loving the work you're doing on the backcourt. Yes. I said, why wouldn't you?
Well, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
And he said, can we just talk about it? And I said, sorry, I'm just at the shops. Like, it's kind of a bad time. I'll call you back in 5 minutes. And he goes, we're actually on air. So, we'll call you back. And then hangs up. It was a really weird phone call to receive.
Red flag.
Well, I just thought a bit bizarre. So I texted this boy and I said, was that you that just called me? He goes, you think I'd prank call you? Oh, how immature. Absolutely not. I went, oh my gosh, I'm mortified. I'm so sorry. Then I'm thinking,
You've actually turned down Podcast Australia.
For the backcourt, what have I done? I've done us a disservice. Anyway, this boy admits that it was him, so that's why we downgraded from dinner to a walk.
Yep.
The walk was no good. I realised this boy wasn't it. And so, alas, it made me think, when has your teammate set you up? How did it go? And also, I felt awkward and I had to say to the girl, I think you've judged me wrong. Like, I don't know what vibe I was giving out on court, but clearly, no go.
Or maybe she's misjudged him more than misjudged you. That's a good story. I know there's a couple of... So during the walk, what are you giving? Are you giving him nothing? Like once you've clocked that it's done, can you fake your way through it? Or
no. I'm giving genuine HK vibes. Like we had fun, but when halfway through, it's not going to be. So that was my That was
Yeah,
my beautiful
last
week.
weekend.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you played international netball there. That's a nice little drop in. You didn't save his number in your phone, obviously, because the prank call worked. So that's another
I'm
little
really
power
getting
move.
caught out here.
Early on, it didn't go well. No, that is an interesting topic. Like how much do you trust your teammates? Because on court, did you guys have a nice synergy, connection?
And this is actually the biggest source of heartbreak. It's not about boys. It's never about the boys.
About friends.
It's actually about me and my teammate. I thought she plays wing defense. I played center. I thought we had a really good connection. She'd get the tip. I'd get the pickup. You know, it's made me question.
You didn't get the pickup this time, did you?
I get pickups on court, not off the court. But that's okay. So please share in my embarrassment. Backcourt_pod. Have you been set up by a teammate? How did it go?
Or double dates with teammates as well. Another one, I think, where they're a successful couple already and it's flowing and you're sort of got to power through what you're considering an awkward conversation. But yeah, no, it's a great topic. I'm enjoying these stories, Hannah. They're really good.
I feel pretty sweaty.
It is hot in here.
Anyway, Backcourt DMs. And of course, if you are liking the podcast, shout out Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, subscribe and give us a review.
Mm-hmm.
I like the spicy things that come through.
Wow. Can't be any spicier than this start.
Let's crack on. Big episode ahead. We finally got the long-awaited book review, an SSN Round 3 preview, review, and some netballing astronauts. So last episode, we addressed a big netball phenomenon in do you go the short sock or the long sock? The backcourt family, you have weighed in, and I have the official numbers, 52% long sock, 48% short. Did that surprise you?
Oh, yeah, I was surprised. I was pretty confident long sock would get up by a bigger margin than that, Hannah. We had a few comments as well on the TikTok, people explaining why, and a couple of people agreed with Taylor Williams that the short sock makes your leg look longer. I still disagree with that, but it's a subjective thing. But no, it's good for people to get involved in these arguments. We've got a couple out there at the moment on the socials, so get your votes in. We want to know. We want to be moulded by you.
Well, we've gotten a lot of DMs, and if the short sock and long sock controversy didn't kick things off, I think some of the messages, they're starting to get hot, and I'm absolutely loving it. So backcourt _ DMs, oh my gosh.
Backcourt_pod DMs.
After that dating story.
You're still thinking about your dating story. Well, Roland, speaking of hot and spicy, Lani got into our Instagram DMs. And Lani was talking about, obviously we've had a couple of discussions earlier about the heat in WA and in South Australia, especially early in the season, Hannah. And so Lani lives in Roxby Downs or plays in Roxby Downs in South Australia. And that's, according to her, a desert mining town. So she said during mid-March was the pre-season tournament and it was 40 degrees when they started their game at 5:30 p.m. And I said, well, what about the heat rule? Surely there's a heat rule. Apparently not in Roxby Downs. The heat rule was pushing the game back to 5:30.
The tolerable temperature of 40 degrees.
So if you've got any more stories about the conditions you've played in, whether it be rain, because obviously netball doesn't stop for rain, and I've seen a lot of local games played on asphalt when it's pretty much knee-deep water and it's played at walking pace. We've got heat, wind, lights going out in the UK. Obviously there's a lot of different conditions you can play your netball in. So we feel for you, Lani. They got through the game okay. So they're built pretty tough out in Roxby Downs.
Go Lani. It is so hard playing hot weather netball. There's nowhere to escape, especially if it's outside and the sun's beating down. You're like,
could you wear I swear when my sister was younger, they played against a team where a girl wore a visor.
That gives real...
it's pretty village.
Yeah. I don't know if we want to project what kind of vibes it gives. Just gives a bit of amateur, but not in a fun way vibes is my humble opinion.
Because I know in soccer, sometimes the goalkeepers wear a hat for their eyes, but I guess they're not involved in the play as much as, let's say, a centre. It'd be pretty funny if, Molly Jovic was running around for the Mavericks with a visor on. Although I wouldn't put it past it.
To be honest, I've tried in local netball to push the boundaries as to what undergarments you can wear because most of my netball is probably on the colder side of things.
Right. So you're going for warmth rather than Lani,
One day I turned up with the full skins, long sleeve top and long sleeve pants. Actually, this was in WA, so full tights. And the umpires took one look. Even in Victoria, cold Victoria, they said, no, you can't do that.
I think you should be. I agree with the leg stuff. I think you shouldn't be able to wear the long skins legs, but I think you should be allowed to wear it, especially on the arms. LeBron James does it.
Absolutely.
Shimona Jock does it. She wears the... Anyway, we're getting sidetracked. We've got plenty in today's podcast. We do, of course, have our first email.
Oh,
this is massive for the podcast. So this is an anonymous email. And look, it's a bit spicy, but it's good. It's a war story. So when my sister and I played club netball before I did both my ACLs, so unfortunately the anonymous obviously had an injury history afterwards, she always played the game before me. So obviously she would be waiting on the sidelines to play afterwards. And one game, I won't mention the club we played against, but she broke her nose from this wing attack. So a wing attack, obviously the sister is playing wing defence, the wing attack has broken her nose.
Ooh.
And our emailer has obviously thought this was intentional. She came off with blood pouring down her face, and because she was always the game before me, I was ready to go in my shoes and dress. And my dad coached our team, and he decided to put me in my sister's position for the rest of the game, make up the numbers. This was concerning for the club as I have autism and I get very angry. I was mad and fuming, and I went into the wing defence position and slapped the shit out of the wing attack, gave her a blood nose, and surprisingly didn't get suspended the following week, which we all expected. Please don't include my name in this. We haven't included your name. It's a really interesting email.
Oh, so many thoughts.
Oh, well, obviously the umpires let everything go out in this competition. If you've got someone broke their nose and doesn't seem like the other player was sent off for time, and then obviously our anonymous emailers come in and taken vengeance. But look, it obviously happens, and I'm not saying I promote violence, but I'm all for it.
A nose for a nose, what's the saying? Don't
an eye for an eye, isn't it?
Yeah, eye for an eye, nose for a nose.
Cut your nose, spite your face. But yeah, it's good to start getting some correspondence from the listeners.
I love the idea of sticking up for your sister. That's a big tick. Going so far to break another nose, I think at some point we draw the line. But you know what? Did she get a call up for the following week? I thought
suspension.
No, I thought the story was going to say, and then I played better than my sister and I got her spot.
Well, it wasn't added in the email, but it's good to get some emails into it.
Yeah, well, you know what? Good luck to this player. I like the anger. We've just got to channel it in the right way is what I think a coach would say. Maybe Dad said, I love the intensity, but maybe just don't go so far to break some noses. But all's fair in love and war, maybe?
Absolutely. We're staying in country. Well, I assume that was country footy netball. By the sounds of the tone of the play, it might have been. We're out in the Ballarat Football Netball League now. Now, this crossed your desk initially, and then we did a bit of digging. Great news story in Bacchus Marsh, the A grade. They won on the weekend, and you sent a post through in our little group chat saying that they won their first game in 6 or 7 years.
Unreal.
And the girls are reading the song off a notebook, obviously been a long time between drinks. And I thought, I'll look into it, see if the Facebook page or the socials have got a bit of information. And I went on to the Bacchus Marsh Football Netball Club, I think they're the Snakes, Facebook page, and I just read a summary of the game. And it just said that they played Redan, I apologise if I've said that incorrectly, last weekend. And from what I can gather, they tied the game or thought they'd tied and were rung the day after the game by the league to say that there'd been a scoring error and they'd actually won by 1 goal. So from what we can understand, the Bacchus Marsh first A-grade win in 6 years was announced to them a day later. What a way to bring it up. So I think the girls got back together and had a song on the Tuesday night. So look,
that is unreal.
That's a great story.
Not only have they not won for 6 years, can I say, do you reckon there's any player who's been through that 6 years?
I hope so. If you have or know of someone that has played in the Bacchus Marsh A-grade team for that period, that dry spell, get in touch.
So I know there are some teams that have been through hard slog, but 6 years without a win, I think that's almost historic.
It would be up there with the dry spells. So,
and then to find out the win came via a paperwork error, that scorer, I think their Bacchus Marsh history remembers that scorer and says, how did you rob us of the moment?
I wonder what it was. Maybe you do get confused. Like, it is a lot going on if it's end to end.
It's the easiest sport to score. One goes this way, one goes that way. It's not like basketball where it's like 2 points, 1 point.
And fouls, you got fouls.
Fouls, draw the box, do the dot if there was a missed on the foul shot. It's simple. One here, one there. Now, you know what? I'm invested in this team.
I think we follow Bacchus Marsh for the next few weeks, see if they can continue to climb up the ladder.
This would be monumental. Do they actually get their moment of embracing the jubilation on court? What a feeling. Now, you know what? I'm gonna task you with a bit of homework.
Oh, yeah?
You've already done a bit of digging, Matt. I reckon dig deeper into this one. We've got to find out how they celebrated. That would have been monumental for the club.
Leave it with me, Hannah. We're going to keep rolling because we've got a lot of information in today's show. You can tell that we obviously had 4 days over the weekend. Just another one for a bit of country netball stuff. Jo Weston.
Oh.
Obviously the Vixens, week off this week. She went up and she was watching Myrtleford play.
Okay.
I'm not sure exactly what they were playing. There's an Instagram reel on the Ovens and Murray Football Netball League social media pages. Diamonds player Jo Weston was up there watching Myrtleford because she'd met an under-17 Myrtleford player previously. I believe her name was Lily. Lily then trained with Jo in Melbourne. They bonded and Jo had promised that she would drop in and watch Lily play. Unfortunately, Lily wasn't playing. She's hurt her finger. I think she's done something to her finger as well. Obviously, it's a epidemic. But Jo was down there watching Myrtleford play on the weekend over there because she was up there with her family. So that's good to see, giving back to the community. So, again, Myrtleford getting a shout-out. The Saints.
Oh, bless Jo Weston. That makes my heart warm. Poor Lily. That would have been the worst day of Lily's life.
Yeah, well, she might have got to spend the whole day with Jo rather than just watching her play. Yeah, you're probably looking forward to Jo watching you.
I hope that it was a surprise, so at least Lily didn't feel average the whole week.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, hopefully they didn't pile on with Lily. Dropping down to social netball now, Hannah.
Not dropping down. We continue to move up.
I've disregarded social netball there. It depends on who you ask. So you mentioned in episode 2 the team Just Six who play in the Clifton Hill League. They play with just 6 players. Instead
of 7, they go, we're so good that we're just going to have a goaler who does the work of 2.
It's that fella, and he's about 7 foot tall. So scrolling on TikTok, bit of a doom scroll one night, and I saw this man he sort of opened the thing, and it was Just Six. So they were in the grand final, and the question posed on the TikTok was, could you win a grand final with just 5 players?
Oh, no. They're doing a whole rebrand.
Exactly. So from what I understand, they started with their 6 and one of their players went down with an injury. So I assume they're already down a wing defence because for some reason people always flick the wing defence.
Can't sleep on the power of a wing defence.
No, you can't. That's another topic for another day. But it looks like the goal attack also went down. Their opponents later also had an injured player, so it was 5v6. So it's absolute chaos out in Clifton Hill on a Monday night or whenever it was. But they still won with 5 on court, and they end the video by saying, look, they understand the Clifton Hill competition is seen as the slightly lesser of the sort of inner eastern suburbs, inner north suburbs social netball, and they're asking for some extra competition. So they've put the call out there saying, bring it on.
So backcourt family, if you think you can beat a team with 5/6 players, maybe there's a backcourt tournament coming up.
Do the Rim Reapers get across and give it a go? The premature shooters, the short kings and IBS queens. Yeah. We listed them all. Get across to Clifton Hill. Take it up to just 6.
And I feel like some team does need to take down the cockiness of running with 6 players or 5 in a grand final and still winning.
It is. Well, it's because I think if you get to 4, you have to forfeit. It would have been a very cautious 5.
I almost feel like we need to handpick an iconic
super team.
Yeah, the backcourt 6 or backcourt 7.
The Avengers.
Yeah. Just take them down.
Watch this space. Right, now we're into some bit more netball newsy stuff. This is a bit more sort of up and down.
Yeah, we can go netball news. You know what happened this week? I love Easter because in netball it's not Easter. It's just nationals for everyone. Men's, congratulations to Victoria. They went back to back, so that was exciting. Mixed SA got up. Unreal. SA, I feel like they're doing big things in the netball world. Obviously, the T-Birds lighting the way, but the underage teams are firing as well. Al Punchin, congratulations. He killed the grand final. He's killed the international circuit. He's claiming every award under the sun, so big love to Al. But NNC, our underage nationals, SA also doing an excellent job.
Yeah, they're very successful in the underage competition in South Australia. They won the under-17 champs. They beat New South Wales 33-26, and then New South Wales won the under-19 championship, defeating Victoria 35-28. They were played at Netball Central in New South Wales. Of course, we discussed this last week with the netball dads, Ross Lyon, Gil McLaughlin stuff. But it's good to give the players an actual shout-out as well, obviously.
Yeah.
A couple of big news stories that came out of it. So first off, Tassie's first ever MVP. So Tasmania have never had a player win the player of the tournament in any of the 17s or the 19s. And 16-year-old Sophie Sheriff from Deloraine, she became the first ever Tasmanian to win an MVP award. She shared the under-17s one with Jasmine McKay from South Australia. Tassie came in 6th. They beat Queensland during the regular season, but lost the 5th v6 playoff.
This is unreal because not only is it hard for a player from a smaller state like Tassie to really serve it up against the New South Wales of the world, the Victorians, but to do it from a team ranked so low, like this just doesn't happen in sport, let alone netball, let alone underage netball.
Especially in those tournaments where, like you said, it's all done in 3 or 4 days. Usually MVPs are probably someone whose team's been successful, caught the other umpire. So for Sophie to do this in a team that came 6th, her twin sister also played, so obviously a talented family. She's only 16 too, so I'm not sure exactly on the date of birth, but she might be able to play another year in the 17. So well done to Sophie. And then I had a look, Hannah, at Deloraine. I thought, I wonder if Sophie's one of the bigger athletes to come out of Deloraine. It's a town that's west of Launceston and south of Devonport, so it's sort of in that middle of the northern part of Tasmania. Anyway, on a website called, I'm on this website and it's deloraine.tas.guides/who's who. And it lists 5 key people that are from Deloraine, and 3 caught my eye. Ricky Ponting, one of the greatest ever cricketers, is from Deloraine. Matthew Wade, also an Australian Test cricketer, is from Deloraine. And professional golfer Aaron Badley spent some time in Deloraine.
We've been sleeping on Deloraine.
Exactly, what a place. I can't imagine the population's that great. To have so many athletes like Sophie as well coming out of there, well done to Deloraine. But it got me thinking, what are some famous people from your town or area growing up?
Unreal. I actually think Deloraine, for its size, like it is batting well above its average.
Those 3 names alone.
And Sophie's some respect on Sophie's
that's what I mean.
name.
Sophie's only 16. Yeah. She could blossom into anything. The world's her oyster.
Does she get a statue in the town centre?
Well, she's not even on the Who's Who guide yet, so let's start there, and hopefully we can move up. But what about famous people from your area?
Tricky, because there's a hospital in my area, so technically.
Yes.
I hate Googling it because it feels like everyone's from my area. I'm like, but I've never seen you at the local supermarket.
Everyone.
Yeah. But we have actually had a few in recent times. Josh Ward, so I live in Fitzroy, and the Junior Football Club champions out of that. Ned Long, also AFL royalty. We have a few big ones.
Well, we've got some more. Producer Liv's got, I don't know where she grew up, obviously in AFL heartland, bloody factory. She's got Matt Rowell, Adam Tomlinson and Dan Houston in the area. So that's a decent little pocket. I'm a bit further east, and it's not sporting, but Bonnie Anderson, the first ever winner of Australia's Got Talent. We went to high school together. Bonnie, she's sung at a few. I think she's been at the races. She's done a few things, Bonnie. So Bonnie Anderson.
Do you still catch up?
No, we haven't stayed in touch, Bonnie. But hopefully she comes across this. Maybe she'll be a guest. We can talk about her music career. I'm sure she played netball. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked.
Surprised that the Mavericks didn't book her for the round 1 match. They booked her for Goodwin instead.
Areas. That's a good point. Well, there's how many more? They've got 5 more home games. We hold out hope.
We'll tee you and Hutchie up, and maybe you can get this sorted for your girl, Bonnie Anderson.
Yeah, my friend, close personal friend, Bonnie Anderson.
But I have to say congratulations, obviously, to Sophie Sheriff. But the player who caught my eye, I love players who study cool things. Yeah. Back before this podcast, I used to have a podcast talking to elite athletes and ones who have some crazy side hustles. And I reckon, Jasmine, is it Yanchek?
Yeah. We apologise, Yasmin, if we've said it incorrectly. We're going phonetical.
She is one of the defenders in the New South Wales under-19s team. I think if I was to bring that podcast back, she'd be getting a call up. She studies astrophysics, physics, and maths. If one of those disciplines wasn't hard enough at university, she wants to become an astronaut. Already getting intercepts that are out of this world. She's literally wanting to get out of this world.
I think astronaut's one of those things that when you're up until the age of 10, you want to be an astronaut. It's one of those things where when you're really young, you think, I want to be an astronaut. And then you get to about, year 7 and you're like, I can't even do algebra. How am I going to fly a spaceship? She's 19 and it's still a possibility. That's actually incredible. That blows my mind. I think I read her backup option is astrophysical research. That's her backup option.
Just if she falls short of going all the way to space, she'll just take that option.
Our backup option was talking absolute crap in a room on a weekday afternoon. But there's obviously some smart athletes out there. You said you had a whole podcast on it, and there's got to be some smart SM players out there.
This is what's amazing about netball, and I could talk about this for hours. Literally did talk about it for hours. The fact that netballers, so many of them haven't been able to be professional. They had to study on the side. They are so well-rounded.
Yeah.
Do you want some names? I'll give you some names.
I can give you off the start. Obviously, our overlord, Liz Ellis, is
Genius.
a lawyer.
Brilliant. Tilly McDonald, also lawyer field.
Who else we got? We've got Kira Austin. I know Kira does some work. I'm pretty sure she's got her degree, some sort of science degree, and is doing some more advanced stuff. Jo Weston, she's getting a lot of mentions today, Jo. She's got a lot of degrees. I think one of them's commerce, got a lot of honorary ones too, I think.
She doesn't have a degree in cooking as per
No, she needs to go back and do food and nutrition. So we got the Posada behind me too. If Jo can take me up on those cooking lessons. Cara Conan, I'm pretty confident has done something in the science field. Helen Housby, zoology at the University of Manchester. That's
Brilliant.
Zootopia. That's a movie that came out this year. Obviously, Maddie Proud, who we're going to talk about soon. She's obviously a published author. We've got a couple of those. And Taylor Williams, who, again, mentioned last week as well, a couple of recurring themes. He's doing a Masters of Research in Women's Health, focusing on endometriosis and its effect on elite athletes, female athletes. So there's plenty of, and that's only just a small subsection of genius netballers.
There are so many of them. Tell us, slide into our DMs, have you got any crazily intelligent teammates? What are they studying? What are they doing in the world? There's no shortage of this kind of content out there. I just think netballers, they're smart, they're beautiful, they're everything.
They are.
I like that you're pumping my tyres up with that. But anyway, speaking of some of our genius netballers, such as Maddie Proud, I have sampled over the long weekend
Much awaited.
some of their wares. That's right. My weekend was pretty busy because I was reading up on netball fiction. There have been some big releases lately. I'm a huge sports fiction kind of gal. I still reckon Speaky McGee is the most influential text that I've read in my life. No disrespect to the VCE English and lit lists, but I just think Speaky McGee was huge. But netball has come to the party via multiple books. So can you please let me indulge in a backcourt style review? This is not about the literary merit. I just want to touch on a few themes that I think, Matt, you'd enjoy from each of these books.
I enjoy any time I spend talking to you, Hannah, about netball fiction.
Well, with the split round, I did have some time off my sleep. Let's start with Joe Weston's Netball Besties. This was a recent release, came out earlier this month. Very embarrassingly, I queued up at Parkville, the netball centre where she did an early drop of the books. I'm having to fight off all these 5-year-old girls. The line was out the door.
Book signing?
Okay, does this make me a bad person? I saw the length for buying the book, somewhat short. The length for the autograph, so long. I didn't get it signed.
Right.
I
don't think that's just practicality. That probably separated you from the the children.
Yeah, I think we also have to appreciate a fully grown adult reading books that look like picture story books. But anyway, Joe's book, really enjoyable. It recounts Joe's adventures starting to play netball as a kid. But I love that the author / Joe, whether it's ghostwritten or not, we won't speculate, has just touched on a few themes that make Joe Weston who she is. Let me indulge. So in page 5, we get to the crux of netballing characteristics.
That's early, page 5.
You'll like this. Now, Joe's talking about how she gets ready for the day. She hastily pulls her long blonde hair into a ponytail before looking at the alarm clock. Of course, she's up at 6:30, and of course, she's going to take her dog for a run.
Right. So it's not even fiction. This is an autobiography.
Do you think did Joe actually wake up at 6:30 as a kid? We're just going to say she did, and of course, she goes for a run. So
it's believable, though.
Yeah, I love that. But some beautiful themes throughout the book. I'm not going to spoil it, but there was some controversy with a missing person, missing dog. So the whole town had to come together, which I love. The netball team, obviously the centerpiece of this. Everyone gets around the netball team. Well done, Joe Weston. Congratulations. A second book will be coming out, I believe.
So what have we got next? Now we've got Liz Watson's
series.
Trilogy.
I will point out that these 3 books cost me a collective $10, which
That's
made
a bargain.
I felt a bit nervous. I thought, Liz, how are we doing if your books are on sale for $10 for 3?
Well, I'm hoping Liz got a fair stipend at the front-ended deal, if we will.
I'd hope so too. But you know what? If I had to pay for these, like what they were actually worth, it would be far more than $10. So Liz, I did enjoy. Obviously, a lot of content to get through. Such a beautiful start. Again, just learning who Liz is as a person from the start. Just talks about netball being a non-contact sport. Not really, not at all. Teammates talking in pairs for ages, like just beautiful. The real value though, dare I say, came in book 2, which you'd like. Firstly, the context of me reading this one was I was reading it at a pub.
Good.
And so given the cover, it looked pretty childish. This 66-year-old man came up to me and says to me, "Excuse me, are you reading a joke book?"
Do 66-year-old men often approach you at pubs? Was this out of the ordinary?
Won't say it's completely out of the ordinary, but I laughed and I said, no, it's a book. I'm doing a very serious lit review for this beautiful show. And this man tells me that he's actually a B-badged umpire and he used to umpire whilst his wife played. So I just love that everyone's got their netball story.
Small world.
How many pages do you think it took for Four Corners to be referenced, the drill?
Yeah, Four Corners, obviously the famous drill that every team everywhere does.
Yeah.
In the second book, let's say I'm looking at the book, there's about 70 pages. I reckon I'll go 42.
Only 28 pages
I'm
in.
happy with that.
So, again, just playing groundwork early. Highlights. There was her first netball club party. So I like that we're planting the seed of what it means to be a netballer, the sausage sizzle. And then that was page 30. It took us another 16 pages to have another social event this time. It was the first official Pink Panthers social event.
Is that their team?
Yes.
Right, I like it. It's a good reference. Do you reckon they paid copyright to be called the Pink Panthers?
No, I think this hails back to the Panthers that used to play at Parkville. So Liz is really going to her roots on this. But we hit some controversy around page 49, and this is where I went, oh, Liz is playing big here. There's an allegation that one player stole another player's bracelet.
Right. Foreshadowing.
I thought, oh, this has suddenly turned very dark and very serious. Wonder what happens to the end of that tale. Got awkward because one of the girls who thought she had her bracelet stolen, she saw the player who allegedly took it, but just turned and looked the other way when the player wanted to talk to her. So I thought, oh, this is big.
Right. So I think Liz has she's put that in to set itself for some sort of Netflix like miniseries. I think there's a bit of controversy. I can see what Liz is trying to do.
And
I hate to interrupt, Hannah, but you've mentioned during both of these books that you've read them in public places. We've still got your favourite book to come, Maddie Proud's one. You can get that one ready. But you've been approached a couple of times reading these books. Would you say that walking around with children's literature has been a positive when it comes to attracting conversation?
Well, let's skip past the rest of Liz. You did a great job, Liz. Grace on the Court.
Right.
I was reading this, and again, I had my 66-year-old for Liz.
Right.
Grace on the Court got me another fella.
Another fella?
What is this? We've gone way too much into the love life, but this guy came up to me and he said,
talk about your struggles a lot. Every episode you've got a new fella approaching you for some sort of contact details.
Well, I knew that this was doomed because he said, oh, what's your Snapchat? I said, oh, you're a bit young for me.
Yeah. We did see where you thought she's reading a kid's book. Maybe she's in my demographic.
If we're talking love stories, Grace on the Court. I won't go into excerpts on this one, but I just want to say Maddie Proud has nailed the format of sports fiction and netball fiction. Both Liz Watson's book, actually, in one of these books, I did cry because it was so emotional. And it just hit me. I know, is that embarrassing?
That is embarrassing.
Grace on the Court had me in tears at how much she has.
Is there other stuff going on here? I don't know if that was the original. Do you reckon that was what Maddie Proud was looking for when she wrote Grace on the Court?
The first sign of not being okay is choosing to host a podcast. So
yeah, fair.
Yeah, I think there are deeper demons here. But I just think like this book is the netball, or this series, I should say. There's a second book and the third one is coming. I just thought there were so many beautiful moments in this. The bit that got me crying in Liz Watson's book was when she was the mum was reflecting on her experience, and that multi-generational thing got me in tears. This one got me in tears as well.
So in summary, the only book that didn't make you cry was Netball Besties.
Yeah, Joe Weston's Missing Dog.
She's got to pull some emotional. Give us your rating. Give us your 3, 2, 1. Who? What's the best one? That Grace on the Court comes out on top?
Yeah, you can't pick your favourite child, but Maddie Proud. Oh my gosh,
so Maddie Proud,
she's killed it.
So there you have it. If you have read all 3 books and also had emotional trauma revealed during it, let us know if Hannah's right with her ranking of her books.
Talks about the trauma of going to selections and what it means to be in a state team and making friends. Like, I just can't stress
enough. I reckon you need to sit on another couch and talk about this stuff. Let's get rolling.
Move on. All right, let's talk about the SSN wrap. So round 3 presents us with an interesting predicament. We've had half a round already played, half a round to go over Anzac Day. The first match of round 3, Mavericks and the Giants. I think few people thought it could be close. Could it be a washout? In the end, the Mavs got it done 71 to the Giants 56. Can I say Unique Pallavi, she's such a wonder-kind, killed it in goal attack for 60 minutes. Like, she just gets roped into the team and then she's almost their MVP. Love what she's doing.
Yeah, she played out of position. She was impressive. She had 23 assists, and obviously I think her natural position is goal shooter. She played on Jodie Ann Ward and did really, really well obviously she didn't score as much as she usually would because Shimona Jock in her 100th SSN appearance put up 60 from 63. And Shimona Jock's story, it's obviously pretty well read and well written recently, but it's still pretty incredible, her journey from when she first came, played for the Thunderbirds, to where she is now. She's become an absolute star of the competition.
Last year, at the start of the year, she didn't have a contract at all. She was part of that crazy Collingwood outfit, doesn't have a contract, then ends up winning the Mavericks MVP by the end of the season, which is remarkable. So, no, congratulations to her on her 100th match. Giants, it's hard to not tip them for the wooden spoon after that. I mean, I already did. We both did at the start of the year, but things feel like they're going from bad to worse.
Yeah, a little bit. Look, I will say the one thing that in all sport, in all forms of life, is that it's never as bad as it seems and it's never as good as it seems. And I think with the Giants, they're not that far away. It seems like they're just a little bit off in terms of like that connection. There's a couple of times, and you can tell when they're feeding, they often pause. They don't trust their instincts. I think that comes from not having that, not trust, I'm sure they trust their teammates, but not having that instinctive connection with each other. And I think most of the teams have a Shimona Jock type goal shooter, don't they? You got Wecky, Janil's coming back. Obviously, the Lightning don't, but most other teams have that Cholok. It's a get out ball, isn't it? And it makes it probably easier for the mid quarters to just instinctively, if I'm in trouble, throw it in the air. I should be okay. The Giants sort of have to zig while other teams zag, because their goal circle is now built around, it's going to be built around Leatherbarrow and Dwyer, who Leatherbarrow's obviously tall, but she's not Cholok, Bell Nemard, Wecky sort of frame. So they have to play a different style of netball, which probably means they're actually learning a lot more on the go. So it's not as bad as it seems.
Okay, you've curiously overlooked a superstar by the name of Joe Harton.
Yeah, well, I think they have to move. I think they're trying to move past Joe. Like, it's pretty much Joe's last year. You would assume she's going to transition into coaching. And even then, she's not quite as tall as those other players I've mentioned. And I just think that's what you have to do in all sports. While you're down the bottom, there's no point trying to play like the top teams. To get back to the top, you've got to do it differently. So I think that's just something to watch. The Giants might just play a bit different netball. It's almost like small ball, even though they're not that small.
Yeah, interesting. I chatted with Julie Fitzgerald during the week to say, what's going on with Jo? She's played limited minutes. Is this the view? And she said she's available for the full 60. She's in good health. She's good to go. So I do wonder what the game plan is, but I actually don't think it just rests with the goalers of the Giants. I think they have a few different issues. A lot of players looking a bit narky at each other and saying harsh words. I know Jamie Lee Price, she had 9 general play turnovers, which is a crazy number.
Yeah, uncharacteristic.
Very uncharacteristic. So you just wonder what is going on during a Camp Giants. But something that caught my eye in this match, I'm not going to say that I've completely won our netball preseason predictions. However, I think we saw a Mav centre pass confusion, which means Grace Wecky, her eligibility is being reviewed. So that was one of my predictions. This is one of my... Have I won bingo yet?
Yeah, well, I think what it shows is that you didn't go far enough with your notable mad shit.
It's only taken me 3 weeks to get there.
There's still time for an indoor streaker. There's plenty of time. Don't get carried away. I think if the indoor streaker comes up, I'll win just on the fact that mine was rarer.
By the time the Grace paperwork comes through, hopefully there's a streaker.
Might have got there in time. Yeah, that's a decent one. Just a couple of things before we move on. There was a post the Mavericks and Giants collabed on with their team songs. The Mavericks song has about 9 verses. It's longer than some of the songs you hear or would be on your Spotify playlist. So I'm not sure. I think they'd struggle, the new players, to sing that one. I'd like to see the book they've got. It might be a page turner.
What are your vibes on the song? Because, of course, it's a bit cheeky.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I haven't heard it in full because it's so long.
And because the Mavs have only won one match?
They've won 5 or 6 in their time, 7 or 8, sorry. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I feel like most songs, sporting songs, you want to keep them short and snappy. So, yeah, I don't know. But it's more of a power ballad than a team song.
True. The H-E-double-L-L, oh my gosh, how am I?
H-E-double-L-L.
Sorry, H-E-double-L. Wow. We are Mavericks. Who the hell are we? I went, ooh, the first time. And I know that's exactly what Hutchie would have intended. You know, the Mavs are being a bit different. We're going to throw in the hell word. The netball traditionalist in me.
Hell's not that bad a word, is it?
I was rocking my chair thinking netball's meant to be family friendly. Is that a family friendly word? But that's probably exposing me as the boomer that I am.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. It's actually an interesting discussion point. Send in your team songs. My cricket team, we have a line called Wrap Up the Chickens and the chops are in the pan.
What does that mean?
I don't know. I think it was just like a joining phrase to get us to the next line. Like they obviously had a rhyme in mind. So let us know what your weird club songs are. When Kate Maloney was on commentary on Fox, obviously you're a bit biased because you want people to listen to your commentary.
I was commentating that match.
Yeah, I thought Kate was pretty good. She gave some good insights. Obviously, she's in the position they call colour, so she's not doing play-by-play. She's adding a bit of insight and spice. So I thought Kate was good. I think there's a few players that are doing some commentary when they're not playing, so that keep an eye on that one.
Well, I'm a bit personally offended that, Matt, you weren't listening to the SEN commentary, which I was heading up.
If SEN want to provide a mini, I'll happily listen to it.
Well, you've drawn the battle lines here, my friend, and I know where I stand. Thunderbirds and Swifts was the other match of the round. This has been built up as the grand final of 2025. What's going to happen? Very interesting match. The T-Birds I thought was super solid. Swifts getting the Easter Sunday chocolates, by the end, 65-57.
Yep, good win for the Swifts. Like you said, first quarter looked like Thunderbirds were going to do it again, but after that, Swifts were pretty much all over them. Just their tactics, the way they use the super shot. Obviously, they got Helen Housby, who's probably the best to ever do the super shot. So they use, a lot of teams use it as a weapon to catch up, and a lot of teams there in front comfortably, they don't go to it. They don't want to risk it. But obviously, Helen's so good that the Swifts actually use it to kick on and get away, which is what they did in a little period in the Power 5 in the third quarter. And then teams obsess over Helen, and then they leave one of the greatest or the best players in the world, Grace Wecky, under the post for an easy one. So obviously that's a strength of the Swifts. And I thought Lambden, Clow, and Tegan O'Shannessy, who had a breakout game, they're all pretty similar. They're all tall with long limbs. And I think the Thunderbird, it's like it'd be trying to get through a forest. There was just arms and legs everywhere, and it led to a lot of long feeds over the top, which then obviously gives you more chance at intercept. So yeah, Swifts are going well. I think you're going to have to change your preseason predictions of them finishing 6th or 7th. It's not looking crash hot at the moment.
No, I'll still be bullish on the T-Birds. Yeah. I think the T-Birds will still come out on top. I actually think this is a really healthy loss for them. How they played, they weren't at their best, and I still think the Swifts have room to grow. So we'll see how much they grow. But yeah, I'm not concerned about the T-Birds fans. I still think you have a three-peat. Book that three-peat holiday at the end of the season after the grand final.
You will admit you're wrong about the Swifts.
They're pretty bloody good.
Yeah, they're looking good. Yeah. They're looking good.
But we'll see what happens. Interestingly, I don't know if you saw on the bench of that match, Dame Nolene, so the coach of the Silver Ferns, New Zealand's national team, she was sitting with the Swifts. Is this the handover, the succession plan with Bryony Akle, the coach of the New South Wales Swifts?
You think they're doing a job swap?
Yeah, maybe just a bit of, I'll learn about your back paddock, you learn about mine, and we'll collab.
Yeah. I think my read on it is it's like you've given, like let's say you might have a newborn and you want to go away for a week and you give it to your parents, so the grandparents, right? But you're not too confident. You're a bit stressed out about they might do something that you wouldn't do with your child. I think Dame Nolene's just checking in to see if they're just taking care of Grace.
Oh.
Grace is the prized possession. As you mentioned, they're going to let her play for the Silver Ferns as we all expected. I think Dame's just going to check in every now and again to make sure Grace is okay, no injuries. Don't break her. She's our very precious weapon. I think she's just more checking in to make sure they're taking care of young Grace.
So you reckon Knowles is a bit of a helicopter mum?
Yeah, well, I think so, and I would be too. If I had a prized possession like Grace Wecky, I'd be taking helicopter measures as well.
Interesting. I liked the tunnel at the end of the match because, of course, Romelda Aiken-George, how unbelievable. She's broken the games record across the ANZ and now SSN. So she's just unbelievable what she's done for netball. But given that we were just chatting last week about how we don't feel like we can do end-of-match huddles, now suddenly we're coming together to make a tunnel between the two teams.
No, I think they're different things. You're celebrating a great of the game. That's a bit. It's like a guard of honour when someone plays 250 games in
Love
footy.
It.
Yeah, I know. I think the huddle is every game. I think that's where it's different. I will say I've had a couple of people just slide into my personal messages and say that. So the Thunderbirds celebrated Romelda breaking the games record, most games played professionally in Australia. I think they've ignored Commonwealth Bank Trophy games in that record.
Oh, really?
Right. So there's a couple of players that have played more, but obviously played in the Commonwealth Bank Trophy era. So it just depends. And that's the problem with having so many leagues that haven't officially handed over, is that there can be a bit of murky waters when it comes to records. So Romelda has played the most games across the ANZ Championship and Super Netball. But if you add in Commonwealth Bank Trophy, I think it's our friend Kath Cox. So I'm not. I will check that up for you while we're here because it was sent to me. But yeah, just something to keep an eye on. It is, I'm just checking it is Kath Cox. So she's got the most, 254. But obviously her career included the Commonwealth Bank Trophy.
I'm surprised that Kath didn't bring that up herself in commentary.
Well, after last week's kneecapping episode, maybe she just backpedaled off that one.
Matt put her on notice, so
Yeah.
Kath has piped down. Interesting. Someone who also piped down, I thought, in the back end of the match, obviously Verity, the wing attack, Verity Simmons, she didn't play her best game. Did you watch her video that was released during the week? It's like a 20-ish minute.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
It's available on the Netball Australia YouTube channel. It's quite a good insight into Verity. There's a few little tidbits that I didn't know about her. I didn't know she had diabetes. And I also found it interesting, of course, so you can watch it on YouTube. I found it interesting that I assumed the West Coast Eagles had approached her and that drew her away from netball. It seems in the video that they didn't approach her until they found out she wasn't playing netball.
Yeah, I actually have to say this video left me with more questions than answers. Like I reckon within 5 minutes we're already hearing about her ex-husband. I was like, whoa, we're going deep here. Then we hear about this mythical contract which was offered to her. Then she was told that she wasn't going to be offered. A teammate told her. I was like, who was the teammate? Like give us if you're going to make a documentary, tell us who the teammate was. What's the relationship like now? When you were given the contract, why didn't you just sign it? Like, I had a few more questions at the end than I did at the start.
I think she said she didn't sign it because by then her head was a bit rattled with all the, like you said, the people getting in her ear about them not wanting her. A couple other things I picked up. She messaged Bryony Ake on Facebook.
Yes.
So she messaged Bryony and said, I see you got a spot. Can I have it? Pretty much, rather than the other way around. I do know that our 4th 11 career captain, we've mentioned Snapchat already, he's had to download Snapchat to find fill-ins throughout the year. So he's been trying to get people to play by Snapchat. So maybe that's the next iteration in a couple of years' time. And we might see some coaches using that for recruiting. And overall, I was really impressed with Bryony Ake. She's an absolute operator. Yeah, just the way she communicated was really impressive. Do they talk similar ways at local level? Is that the same messaging you get or was that the next level up, did you feel?
It depends on what kind of coach you get. I think Bryony is one of the best and you hear whispers about the connections that she has with the players. Like I love the excerpts where she's saying, hey, girl, because she knows that Verity will say, hey, girl. So I like that they're building a common language. You'd be really lucky, obviously, to have a coach as high quality as Bryony in a local league. But I have no doubt that in the beautiful world of netball, there would be some coaches who go the nth degree to see the players for who they are as humans, not just netballers.
I thought on the bench too, because sometimes you watch these documentaries and the coaches on game day just yell the same things local coaches do. And I thought Dylan Nexip obviously gets a few mentions on this. He reminded me of a local coach just standing and yelling at his defenders.
Got that. I think the biggest learning that I had out of it was, of course, if you had to choose Verity's coffee order, she is such a small mocha. She's such a small mocha kind of girl.
I've never had a mocha.
She would have the bit of coffee, bit of zhuzh, bit of chocolate powder. Like I just thought, yeah, this checks out. If I had to guess, she'd be a small mocha girl. So no, I quite liked it. Good viewing.
No, it's good. I think there's a few that come out this year, so we'll keep an eye on them.
Yeah, we'll keep reviewing as we keep going for the backcourt family. Obviously, it's nice over Easter to have so many netball things to indulge in. But alas, the other half of the split round is this weekend. So the big Queensland derby, Sunshine Coast Lightning against the Firebirds. Have you got some predictions?
Well, I've got just Cara Conan plays her 100th game. So well done, Cara. 100 games of Super Netball. Obviously, I'm tipping my Lightning. We've had our one loss. We'll roll on. I expect us. Yes, I'm saying us. I expect us to win this one.
See, I think the Firebirds would be fired up this week, backing their new coach in Kitty Wills. Did you see her caption? She put out this beautiful Instagram post, an amazing caption, which finished with this quote: "Any media or commentators still working off last year's fish and chip paper are welcome to come into our daily training environment and get yourselves informed."
Do you know, is that what DTE means?
Yes.
Do you know? Oh, I've never seen that acronym before.
She's saying, if you're just casting judgment at what our team's been through or who we are, you have no idea, pundits in the media. You're reading off the back of the fish and chip paper.
Yes. I can see both sides of this. I get what Kitty's trying to do. Obviously, she's trying to create that team harmony, and obviously she's been brought in with that MO of creating. She's very well known for creating cultures that are positive and encouraging. But I think there would be people that would still see the other side of saying, well, you weren't there last year. The outrage isn't with her. But I get what she's doing. She's trying to get that us against them mentality within the team, which will be weaponised on court. But I can also see the other side of the story where, it's interesting. I actually like that she's outspoken on this.
Love it.
Usually in netball, people just like to stay within themselves and let it wash over and we don't say anything. I get out there. I like this. I really like what she's brought to the game. She's got presence. She's got swagger. Yeah, I think there's both. I can see both sides of the argument, but yeah.
I mean, you talk about coaches backing in their players. There is no stronger stance than a coach going out to the world saying that there are people outside of us intent on burning the house down without checking who's inside.
Right.
Fire up. How good is that? I just think for a coach.
That was another quote too. I thought you'd rolled that off the top of your dome, but that is a quote from the caption.
That is a direct quote from what Kitty said. I just think what she's doing, awesome. Players, if they've played with her in New Zealand, in Australia, are so proud of who she is.
Yeah.
I love she's just thrown that out there. Do you think part of it was coming to the backcourt? I had to check myself and think,
I don't think we've criticised her as of yet. But yeah, I think as well, like most of the anger actually isn't directed at her. I think it will get directed at her now because people like to get angry at things. It's actually directed at, I assume, people higher up in the system. But we won't go any further than that because we've got another game to preview.
Well, fiery Firebirds, I think they'll get it done. And Vixens and the Fever.
Yeah, Vixens will win this one. Sad news. It doesn't get any better for the Fever. Obviously, Janelle's still a couple of weeks away. Ruth Ariang, unfortunately, as of recording this morning, ruptured Achilles. Awful. So she's out for the season. So that's two young stars, Ava Black, ACL for the Lightning, and Ruth Ariang, Achilles, out for the season. Hopefully, we still see them have a presence with their teams on through the media or whether it's coaching and so on. But yeah, sad news for the Fever, and unfortunately, I don't think it gets any better this weekend. I think they'll lose.
No, I'm going to back them in. I think sometimes with sad news, you galvanise, you go deep. The Vixens, I don't think their last match against the Giants was all that impressive. So maybe if Fever get off to a good start, but that will be an absolute nail-biter. Give us your predictions, backcourt_pod. We're on Instagram, TikTok. Send us an email, backcourtdms@gmail.com. And of course, rate and review the podcast across whatever format you're listening or even watching us on YouTube. So much to look forward for next episode. The other end of the split round and plenty more stories. Hopefully some of you have been set up by your teammates because I'm still feeling a bit embarrassed about sharing that. But all between friends, we share these things sometimes. We'll see you in episode 7.